What's up, guys? Big shout out to the African Superstar family. I'm back at it again with the live stream for you guys. I hope you're excited. This is literally the first Saturday night live stream that I have done in probably 2 months. So, big shout out to the African Superstar family. If you're here in the building, please make sure that you like the video, leave me something in the chat room, and I will greet you. Nana is the first here today. Big shout outs to her. I talked to her earlier, and I'm happy to see that you're able to make the live stream. I want to say also big shout outs to the customers of AfricanSuperstar.com. A lot of you guys purchased from my Black to School collection. The fall and winter collection is dropping in 2 weeks. So those products, please head over to the AfricanSuperstar.com, support a Black-owned business, support this platform. Also, big shout outs to our members only who are designated by the circle next to their name. They are seen behind the scenes, special vlog, and supporting our platform on a monthly basis. So big shout outs to everybody who is a part of the contributing factors of the African Superstar Black platform. Much love to you. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Africa of tomorrow has to deal with the choices of Africans today. You know, something that never ceases to amaze me is the way our people think these things are going to happen magically. Okay, think that unity is going to happen. Think that the growth on the continent is going to happen. Think that the racial climate's going to change in the West and blah blah blah. And the truth is, without grooming, and when I say grooming, I mean basically preparing. Basically kind of molding young people or so on and so forth, taking strategic steps today to impact tomorrow. This is what we miss a lot of times. This is something, for instance, that many diasporans that are going to the continent miss. Because as soon as they land there, they see problems. Maybe they see a lot of problems. Maybe they can't deal with the problems. Recently, a popular, YouTube family had decided to leave Ghana and return back to where they were living in Europe. And they provided a goodbye video, rather, and they talked about a lot of things that they really couldn't tolerate, the housing, traffic, things regarding their children, and so on and so forth. And the thing that I want to kind of reiterate to you guys is this is a long-term journey that we're entering for those of us that are heading back to the continent. This is a long-term journey. I mean, I really personally think it's unfair to make an assessment prematurely. So let's say you go to, you're from England, okay, and you decide, oh, I'm going to go to Florida, okay, and you go to Florida for 1 month, and then you decide, oh my goodness, this is the best place I've ever lived. Obviously, coming from the UK where there's cold weather, small living quarters, that kind of stuff, and then you go somewhere like Florida where it's more lively, warm weather, better social life, bigger housing, you're going to immediately be impressed. And realistically, that's how some of us are looking at the continent, in the opposite direction. The problems that we are finding, the problems that, we feel like, oh, I can't live with, are things that in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years could be in a different situation. I mean, I definitely can speak as someone who first went to Ghana in 2016. I've seen tremendous growth in Ghana just as a person traveling there. Roads getting better, buildings, more buildings being completed, housing being completed, more places to chill, what I'm saying? All kind of stuff, more international recognition. This is in the course of freaking, 5 years. So I want you guys to know that the Africa of tomorrow is directly contingent on the decisions of the African today. Now, who's the African? There's lots of categories of Africans. You have the continental Africans, which unfortunately a lot of them are not really thinking about the Africa of the future, unfortunately. Then you have, the diaspora, which a lot of them are also not thinking about the future of tomorrow. And then you have, those Pan-African diaspora that are, taking it to the next level. Okay, let's go back to Africa. Let's try to do this. Let's try to do that. To that sect, I really encourage you. And I encourage you to think about S&P. And I encourage you to think about the long term. If you're moving, if you've taken the expense. Now, to the defense of this particular YouTube family, they were not moving to Ghana. They got stuck in Ghana because of coronavirus. Okay, so they were kind of not really, to that point where they were like, okay, we're going to make this a final home. Fair enough. But to those of you that have made the decision, you're shipping everything, you're trying to do the immigration process, blah, 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 blah. Please give it a reasonable amount of time before you make such a rash decision. Because, like I said, a couple months, 6 months, even a year, you haven't really given yourself a chance to acclimate. And maybe you're comparing your life in Africa with a life that you have been living for decades elsewhere. Big shout outs to the migrants that are watching our channel. I'm pretty sure the first year you moved to Europe or moved to America or Canada or Australia, I'm pretty sure you didn't have everything in place in 1 year. I'm pretty sure of that. I know when I moved from America to the UK, within a year, I was still getting my footing. I didn't get a job for 3 months once I moved to the UK. Okay, so that's even a quarter of the year. So this is what I'm talking about. We have the power. Now, some of you lazy individuals are going to put all the responsibility of the direction of our nations in the hands or in the corner of our leaders. That's what a lot of African people do, unfortunately. My leader's this, my leader's that, my leader, blah, 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 blah. When I see foreigners in Ghana, I know for a fact they're not worried about our leaders in Africa. I know that they're busy taking and utilizing loopholes to do what they want to do. And I wonder all the time, why aren't we, why don't we want to recognize the fact that when we get to the continent, we can do the same thing as foreigners from foreign lands? Definitely we're foreign to a degree, but we have more claim to the African continent than anybody else, not excluding continentals, but I'm saying in the groups of foreign people, the diaspora has the claim. Why are they particularly discouraged by the political system when other foreign groups are not? The sentiment, the attitude should be like, okay, let's put it together. Earlier last week, I put together a video encouraging Pan-Africans to leave behind those that are not of like mind. I'm pretty sure, today, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but Wodamaya called a meeting for all content creators. I'm pretty sure that if he has a project or if he has some kind of, special message, I'm pretty sure if he pulls together a group of 5, even 10, content creators, and they do a series, they do something, a special project, that will have an impact. My point is, listen, the continent that we want to see, some of the changes we want to see, it has to do with the decisions we do today. I was watching another YouTube platform the other day, The Arrival. Okay. It's a couple out in the Gambia. And they were discussing how they were having a difficult time accessing their land. So they decided to put a road in so that they can easily access their land. Okay. Now that is a problem. That was a problem for them. Okay. Getting to the land. It was, maybe in the bush, maybe the road was not good or old or non-existent or whatever the case may be. They're working on that problem right now. So that means when you go to the Gambia next year or 2 years from now, you wouldn't necessarily have that same problem. Now, which everything that we take advantage of has been preset by the people that went before us. So don't be short-sighted, especially if you call yourself a pioneer. Now, if you're a follower, we expect you to sit back and let the leaders do everything, because that's what you do. You just wait for a safe crossing. You know what I'm saying? You like, all right, let me see how it works out. Let me see what happens. You're the kind of person that's like, yeah, everybody's heading to the continent right now. I'm gonna wait 4 or 5 years, see what they're doing. I'm gonna wait 10 years. I'm gonna wait till I retire. This isn't for you. But to leaders, you need to have tenacity. You need to be in it for the long haul. You know, you need to realize that the blueprints and the game plan that you're laying down today, it may not necessarily be for today's edification. Okay, what we're going to do on the continent, it's not like cooking a meal. Okay, you know, earlier today, I cooked some tacos because I've been wanting tacos, and you know, you can't really get Mexican food. Obviously, there's not a lot of Mexican restaurants here. So you know, you can put that meal together in less than an hour. You can prepare most meals. You know, some meals, bigger meals or meats and things, you got to take more time. But guess what? Africa is not a meal. It's not something you can cook today. Okay, it's something that might, it's more like a tree. It's more like a seed. Anybody who grows plants, grows fruits, do you put your orange seed in and expect a full grown fruit tomorrow? Those of y'all that do farming, do you get a pig, you know, a little piglet today and think tomorrow it's going to be ready for sale, it's going to be fully matured and all that? Huh? Do you buy a chicken today and expect eggs tomorrow? I mean, I don't know if they lay eggs in a day, but I'm just saying, Africa's not a meal. You know, Africa is a marathon. Your journey on the continent is a marathon. You know, and listen, I'm going to say this stuff, and you know, I don't really shy from controversial things, but I'm going to say this. There are many pre-existing problems on the continent. Yes, indeed. Okay, but guess what? Newsflash: there's rich and poor people no matter where you go in life. People that are choosing, that are in a position of choosing to move to other countries, should be able to manage themselves. Okay, if you're choosing to migrate to the continent, then you shouldn't be a person who's in abject poverty. Okay. You shouldn't be a person that after 1 or 2 months, you're struggling to maintain yourself. You're struggling to sustain yourself. No, you know, and even if you get to the position where you're like, you know what, I've had some unanticipated expenses. I got sick. My business failed. My relationship failed. Whatever happened, I got scammed. Then maybe you do need to return briefly to the West or wherever you're coming from. Go back to Canada, go to Australia, regroup, and try it again. You have that ability. Use what's afforded to you as being a part of the diaspora to establish yourself back home. I think the mentality that our people are approaching, you know, the movement back home is wrong, you know, in a lot of ways. First of all, people think that it's very finite. So they decide, and many people very ignorantly, might I add, never travel to the continent, should never barely even travel internationally. Okay, don't have sources of income, haven't thought about it. You know, perhaps traveling with children. Uh, you know, there are situations where it's like a refugee situation for some people in America. You know, maybe they have to go and they have to make that decision. But if you're in a position to do some preparedness, do it. Do it so that you can do it right. You know, you come ill prepared to the continent, all right, and then you slam the continent for not accommodating you when you were not prepared. I heard through the grapevine last week that some lady showed up to Ghana, okay, coming from Senegal with 5 children with no visas. In the Ghana immigration, naturally, was prepared to deport them because they didn't have their paperwork. Now, is that Ghana's fault? Because a little bit of research will let you know that you need visas to go to Ghana as it currently is. Let me ask the first trivia question, and I'm going to start shout outs to the family. What's up? If you're here, like the video, guys. Don't be shy. Drop me something in the chat room because I'm going to start shout outs. First trivia question. Let's say you go to you go to England. Okay, so you travel to England. Well, maybe that's not a good example because Americans don't have to have visa. But let's say you go to you go to China. Okay, I know there visas are required for Chinese, to go to China. Let's say you as an American fly all the way to China. Are you going to get into China without a visa? First trivia question. Are you going to be able to go? I don't know a lot of the countries that require visas outside of Africa. But I know there's loads. Probably have to get visas. I know my friend was working in Saudi Arabia for Boeing. Go on and turn up to Saudi Arabia without a visa. Are you getting in? That's his first trivia question. If you travel to China, are you getting in without a visa? If you travel to, the Middle East, are you getting in without a visa? You see, we have some kind of different standard when we're talking about the continent. But guys, immigration is immigration. You come ill prepared to the continent, you're going to see negative things in the continent. And I think sometimes that's some of the arrogance of West that, oh, well, we can do whatever. We're from America. We're from England. We don't have to follow the rules. And if these countries sack us because we're ill prepared, it's not their fault. I've been deported from Nigeria. Why was I deported from Nigeria? I didn't have my visa sorted out when I got to Nigeria. It is what it is. The Africa tomorrow, guys, has to do with the choices of all of us Africans today. Primarily, I'm speaking to those that want to be on the continent. People that are on the continent that have dreams of going elsewhere, they're not strategically building their futures in Africa. They're not. They're thinking about when I migrate, I'm trying to get out of here, I'm trying to move, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're not worried about the Africa of tomorrow because they're thinking about doing something else. The Africans that are living in the West are not also worried about the Africa of tomorrow because they're living their life in the West. The Africans that are going to remain on the continent or moving to the continent, this is for you. The choices we make. What's up, family? All right, I got a few of y'all in here in the building. Nana is with us. I think I'll open up the call lines today to get some feedback from the family today. So we'll do call in. If you guys want to call in and leave your comments, please don't be shy. What's up, Nikki? I see you there. Zoo and Shayna. Please get the lights up, guys. What's up? Scarlett is back in the building. Nikki says she answered the question, the trivia question. If you fly to China, I don't care if you're American, I don't care if you're British, visas are required. If you go all the way out to China and you say, hey, look, I'm coming from America, I don't got my visa sorted out, they will deport you. And in Africa that require visas and not have a visa and think you're getting it. It's just, it's just common sense. If you don't know what you need before you travel, if you're someone who's never traveled, you're new to traveling, it only requires you briefly even looking up the requirements. You can type into Google, it's very easy. America to Brazil, are any visas required? America to, Senegal, America to Kenya. That's what I was doing. I haven't been traveling obviously heavily during coronavirus time, but when I was going to new countries, that's exactly what I would do. Visa requirements for China, visa requirements for South Africa, visa requirements for Egypt. Don't slam the country when you choose to get, listen, it's not your fault. you know, and to be honest with you, listen, immigration is set up for a particular reason. Okay. Do you just want every time Dick and Harry come into, your country? Do you just want, maybe criminals, maybe whatever, whoever bringing drugs in, bringing in guns, blah blah blah. Okay, it's there for a reason. Do your due diligence. It's not their fault. So big shout out to the family. Lots of you guys answered. You're not getting into countries that need visas and you don't have a visa. Because you decide to, oh, I'm going to buy a ticket and I'm just going to come there. It doesn't work that way, guys. And I don't really know what's going on because, when I travel internationally, they will be checking at the departure place if you have a visa or not. I learned the hard way, for instance, flying from England to the US on a British passport. If you don't, you have to have a visa to go to America. And I missed my flight, yay, because I didn't have my American passport at the time. And they said, hey, we can't allow you to use this British passport to go to the US without the visa. You see what I'm saying? So be prepared. It's not other people's fault when you're ill prepared. Something that would have been unfair is, okay, you have all the documents, and then they say, yeah, you can't enter. But when you come and you don't have yourself together, it's just like nowadays, some of you guys, maybe you haven't traveled recently or whatever. If you don't have your COVID test results when you go to the airport, they're not letting you fly. So what this means is figure out what you need before you travel, get everything together before you go to the airport. Simple. Now fortunately in this situation with this woman who showed up at the airport, people were able to intervene on her behalf and work things out for her so that she didn't get deported. But my point is, listen, all right, make good decisions. Think about the future when you're doing whatever you do. And guess what? The continent is also not one size fits all. If you've been to one nation, that doesn't speak for all the nations. You go to one country, it's not all the same. And those of you that have traveled around Africa know this truth. Whatever you're doing right now in 2021 is for the future. Think about your plans in the long term. You move to the continent, think about, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it 5 years to see where I'm at. If I'm struggling immensely, I can't make ends meet, I can't figure it out, then maybe I need to reconsider. For some other people that are able to have temporary housing, temporary jobs, maybe they might say, I'm going to do 6 months there, 6 months abroad. I heard about a story about a lady like that from South Africa when I lived in the UK. She used to come to the UK. She was a nurse. She'll come to the UK, work 3 months out the year, and go back to South Africa for the rest of the time. Her husband, 2 children, they were in South Africa. She would leave for like the summertime, come back, and I was that. Your migration to the continent is for you, is what works for you. Now, some of our brothers and sisters that are veterans, that are retirees, they have pensions, they have income coming in, they can say goodbye, and go, because they're able to really sustain themselves financially. They don't have to worry about on a regular basis getting money, or anything like that. They buy a place, they get some land, and they have money coming in, they're settled. You know, so for them, some of them, yeah, they're picking up and they're moving to the continent and they're not looking back. Whatever situation you need to work out. But guys, the truth is, the Africa that we want to see tomorrow is contingent on the movements that we want to do today. And we can't let our leaders be the only sole direction of that. You know, many of you guys are living, for instance, in the West, all right, and you're living your life every day, irrespective of Boris Johnson or Vladimir Putin or Joe Biden. You know, you get up, you go to school, you work, you save your money, you start the business. You are mapping out your life, okay? You don't care about them leaders per se on a daily basis. It's the same thing on the continent. It's the same thing on the continent. You know, yeah, a lot of leaders on the continent, they're not great. Yeah, uh-huh. It's by design. Anytime you get rogue leadership on the continent, anytime you get Pan African leadership on the continent, what happens to them? You see? So, you know, the probability, honestly, of being in an African nation where you're going to have great leadership that puts their nation first, I mean, it's quite slim. Considering, I think that in the last 5 years, in the last, year, rather, 5 African presidents have been killed. You know, they're going to say they died, they had COVID, whatever they're going to say. And there's no coincidence that these guys were resisting the Western narrative of carnivore and putting their countries first. So that's the cost that's associated when these leaders, want to exercise Pan Africanism at a high level. They are aware of what the cost is, and a lot of them don't want to pay that, quite frankly. So putting faith in the leadership on the continent, unfortunately, you got to do your own initiative. Big shout out to the family. Guys, the call lines are open now. If you have anything to say, I haven't done a call show in forever. So I just wanted to open them up briefly to hear from the family. Big shout outs to those of you that turned up tonight. Watch, this is my first Saturday Night Live in forever. Y'all know weekends be hard. Weekends be very, very hard to sit down and make videos. But I love you guys. I appreciate all the continued support. Big shout outs to the customers of theafricansuperstar.com. I did go out today with my backpack, my new backpack. And it's so dope. So yes, please send me the pictures. Those of you that have purchased new products from AfricanSuperstar.com. As soon as you get them, you can send them to me Instagram, Facebook, email. My email is africansuperstar@gmail.com. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Also, special shout outs to Honesty, my homegirl from Ohio. She sent me a super chat today. Big shout outs to her. I really appreciate all that love and support from the family. Okay? So until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.